Captain Daniel Reed had survived 3 years of interstellar warfare, navigated diplomatic disasters across 12 sectors, and once talked his way out of an execution chamber on Proxima 7. None of that prepared him for the throne hall of Viridian Prime. The ceiling stretched upward into crystalline darkness, walls alive with bioluminescent patterns that shifted like breathing organs. At the far end, elevated on a dais of living coral, sat Queen Valara of the Viridian Empire. Her species towered over humans, their bodies elegant and angular, skin shimmering with colors that defied Earth's visible spectrum. 4 eyes tracked his approach, 2 primary ones glowing amber, 2 smaller ones observing from her temples. Daniel's boots echoed across the obsidian floor. His diplomatic team had abandoned him after the preliminary negotiations collapsed yesterday. The Alliance needed Viridian support against the Scorvan Dominion, but Queen Valara had dismissed every proposal with cold efficiency. Now he stood alone, humanity's last hope, wearing a dress uniform that suddenly felt absurdly inadequate. Captain Reed? Her voice resonated through the chamber, musical, yet carrying the weight of absolute authority. Your alliance persists. Why should I commit my fleets to die for your inadequate species? Daniel swallowed. The translation implant behind his ear buzzed with nuanced warnings. Every word mattered here. Your Majesty, we don't ask you to die for us. We ask you to stand with us against a threat that will eventually reach your borders. The Scorvans will reach us in 30 cycles, perhaps 40. She waved one elegant hand, dismissing galactic annihilation like a minor inconvenience. Your intelligence is outdated, Captain. We have known this for some time. Heat flushed Daniel's face. Months of preparation, and they had underestimated Viridian intelligence networks. He adjusted his strategy, abandoning the formal talking points. Then you understand what's coming. Those things don't negotiate. They consume. Every world they take, every species they absorb, makes them stronger. He stepped closer, ignoring protocol. I've seen the aftermath. Planets stripped to bedrock. Entire civilizations reduced to organic processing facilities. Your Majesty, I know the Viridians value survival above all else. This isn't about dying for humanity. This is about choosing to fight while we still have the numbers to win. Valara leaned forward, her smaller eyes narrowing. For a moment, Daniel thought he had broken through. Then she laughed, a sound like wind chimes in a hurricane. Humans, you truly believe your desperation makes you persuasive. She rose from her throne, descending the dais steps with predatory grace. Your kind has been in space for barely 2 centuries. We have ruled this sector for 14,000 years. Do not presume to lecture me about survival. She circled him slowly. Daniel held his ground, though every instinct screamed to retreat. This close, he could see the intricate patterns beneath her translucent skin, networks of light that pulsed with her heartbeat. She was terrifyingly beautiful, like a supernova captured in living form. You know what fascinates me about humans? Valara stopped directly before him, towering nearly 3 feet above his height. Your absolute conviction that you matter, that the universe owes you continuation simply because you exist. Everyone who's ever lived has believed they matter, Daniel replied quietly. That's not unique to us. What is unique is that we're asking for help instead of assuming we can face this alone. That takes a different kind of strength, Your Majesty. The kind that builds alliances instead of empires. Her 4 eyes studied him with unsettling intensity. Silence stretched between them, broken only by the soft humming of the living walls. Then Daniel made his mistake. The exhaustion of 3 sleepless days, the stress of carrying humanity's fate on his shoulders, and the strange intimacy of their proximity broke down his diplomatic filters. He looked at her, really looked at her, and spoke without thinking. You're magnificent. The words hung in the air. Daniel's stomach dropped as he realized what he had said. Not a tactical compliment, not diplomatic flattery, just pure, unfiltered observation spoken like he was talking to himself. Valara froze. Her primary eyes widened while the smaller ones contracted to pinpoints. The bioluminescent patterns on the walls pulsed erratically. Every Viridian guard in the chamber shifted their stance. Daniel opened his mouth to apologize, to backtrack, to do anything to salvage the situation. Say it again. Her voice had changed, softer, something dangerous lurking beneath the musical tones. Your Majesty, I apologize. That was inappropriate. I did not ask for an apology, Captain Red. She moved closer, eliminating the last comfortable distance between them. I gave you a command. Say it again. Daniel's heart hammered. His translation implant was throwing warning symbols he had never seen before. The air itself felt charged, like standing in a lightning storm's eye. You're magnificent, he repeated, though his voice barely rose above a whisper. Valara's skin erupted with color. Waves of crimson and gold cascaded across her form, patterns that his human eyes could barely process. She made a sound, low and resonant, that the translator refused to interpret. Then she turned sharply, ascending back to her throne. The entire court held its breath. Guards, leave us. Her command broker no argument. The Viridian warriors exchanged uncertain glances, but obeyed, filing out through side passages until only Daniel and the Queen remained. When the last guard departed, Valara spoke again, her voice carrying an edge Daniel could not identify. Do you understand what you have done, human? Offended you beyond measure? Daniel ventured. No. She laughed again, but this time it sounded almost bitter. You have spoken words no one has dared say to me in 200 years. Not since I took the throne after my mother's death. Not since I became queen instead of simply Valara. She gestured to the empty throne room, to the magnificent isolation that surrounded her. Everyone sees the crown, the empire, the power that could crush them without effort. They calculate their words, measure their tones, and offer me nothing but carefully crafted deception masked as respect. Even my own court cannot look at me without seeing the throne first. Daniel remained silent, sensing she needed to speak more than he needed to respond. And then a human captain, exhausted and desperate, looks at me and says I am magnificent. Not my fleet, not my empire, me. Her color shifted again, settling into deep blues and purples. Do you know how rare truth becomes when you hold absolute power, Captain Reed? Everyone lies to queens. Everyone except, apparently, humans too tired to remember they should be afraid. I'm plenty afraid, Daniel admitted. I just ran out of filters. Valara's laugh this time was genuine, almost warm. Honesty. How refreshing and how dangerous. She studied him with renewed interest. Your species amuses me, Captain. You face extinction, yet you send me one man with no army, no leverage, and apparently no diplomatic training worth mentioning. Either humanity is far more desperate than I calculated, or far more brave. Probably both, Daniel said. Indeed. She rose again, descending the dais with deliberate slowness. I will make you an offer, Captain Reid, not because of your arguments about mutual survival, though those have merit. Not because I fear the Scorvins, though I acknowledge the threat. But because you reminded me that beneath this crown, I am still Valara. And Valara is curious about a species foolish enough to speak truth to power. She stopped before him, extending one long-fingered hand. The Viridian Third Fleet will join your alliance. 12 dreadnoughts, 400 support vessels, and the finest warriors in this sector. In exchange, I want you to serve as liaison between our forces. You specifically, Captain Red, consider it my price for honesty. Daniel stared at her offered hand. They had won. Against all odds, humanity had secured the alliance they desperately needed. Why me? He asked. You have actual diplomats. People trained for this. Because diplomats would never have called me magnificent while standing in my throne room, facing what they believed was certain failure. Her eyes held his, unblinking. I want someone on my flagship who will tell me truth instead of calculated flattery. Your alliance needs my fleets. I need someone who has temporarily forgotten how to lie. We both get what we require. Daniel took her hand. Her skin was warm, the texture like silk over steel. I accept, Your Majesty. Though I should warn you, humans are terrible at long-term deception. Eventually, we all run out of filters. Good. Alara's colors brightened to something almost approaching joy. Then perhaps this alliance will be more interesting than I anticipated. Come, Captain Reed. We have a war to plan. And you can start by telling me more about your species' fascinating inability to properly fear me. As they walked together toward the planning chambers, Daniel realized that he had somehow stumbled into the strangest military alliance in galactic history. All because exhaustion had made him say exactly what he was thinking. Queen Valara glanced at him, her smaller eyes catching light that human vision could barely perceive. Say it one more time, she commanded softly. You're magnificent. Daniel replied without hesitation. Her color shifted to golden warmth. Yes, I could become accustomed to this honesty. Humanity may prove more valuable than their military contributions suggest. Behind them, the living walls pulsed with approval. And Daniel understood that sometimes the most powerful weapon in diplomacy was not strategy or leverage, but the simple,